Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Happy Monday, April 26th. This is our seventh day, right, of the Daily Dozen Facebook Lives. Today we are going to talk about flax seeds. We've gone through a lot of the big categories. Now we're getting into some of the smaller ones, so we still have whole grains this week. But I hope you've been enjoying them. And please, like I said, please feel free if you have any questions about what I present or, not specific medical questions, but about, should you eat this instead of this or whatnot. Please feel free to ask and we can all learn from it. We can all share and learn from it. So today we're going to talk about flax seeds. So the recommendation is golden or brown. There's two different types. And you can find them in two different forms. You can find them in the ground form or the whole seeds. The serving size is 1 tablespoon of ground, so not the whole seeds. You do need to grind them. And then daily recommendation is just 1 serving per day, so 1 serving of ground flax seeds a day. So that's pretty easy, right? So why? So flax seeds are actually one of the first items that were ever considered to be a health food. I'm kind of a history geek nerd. And Hippocrates, who has famously said, "Let food be thy medicine, do no harm," the whole thing. Anyways, he's the father of modern medicine back in ancient Greece, thousands and thousands of years ago. But Hippocrates, wrote about using flax seeds to treat patients. So this has been well documented over time. Flax seeds are really one of the richest plant sources of essential omega-3 fatty acids due to their ligands. So ligands are phytoestrogens, and phytoestrogens are good. They're good for us. They actually dampen the effects of our body's own estrogens. So they attach to the receptors, blocking our estrogen getting to the receptors. So estrogen does great things, but can cause trouble too. So it dampens the effects of that. So compared to so you can get ligands across the whole plant spectrum, but flax seeds are like crazy with them. So flax seeds have around 100 times more ligands than other foods. So they actually have what are called ligand precursors, similar to the broccoli that has the sulforaphane precursor that has to be activated to make sulforaphane. So flax seeds have the precursors that get activated to ligands by the gut bacteria. Why? Remember, why we need to keep that gut bacteria happy so it can do everything we need to. So one of the many things that flax seeds are used for, so they're actually the first line medical therapy for menstrual breast pain, and this has to do with estrogens, right? And they actually can extend a woman's menstrual cycle by a day. So it might not mean much to you men out there, but that actually means fewer cycles over the lifetime, and breast cancer risk is all about lifetime exposure to estrogen. So it means fewer cycles over their lifetime and therefore less exposure to estrogen, which decreases the risk of breast cancer. So you've heard me talk about cancer a lot. Breast cancer, and why do we talk about breast cancer so much? Because there is so much data on breast cancer. I have family members, friends who are breast cancer survivors, and I always laugh. It's not laugh, but in October, there's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I always say people are fully aware about breast cancer, that breast cancer is out there, but it's a great awareness campaign, and therefore great money for research. So there's tons of research, so we have a lot of data on that. So ligand intake was associated with significantly reduced breast cancer and actually also in postmenopausal women. So it helps prevent breast cancer in premenopausal women by decreasing their days exposed to estrogen, but also in postmenopausal women. So, and there's also been several studies, so I'll just give you a couple of them. There was a study where women who were at high risk of breast cancer due to either suspicious breast biopsies or a history of breast cancer, so once you've had it, you're at risk for getting it again, were given flax seeds every day, so this group. And 1 year later, on average, those who had suspicious breast cancer biopsies had fewer precancerous changes, and both groups showed a drop in biomarkers of cell proliferation. So cancer is all about overgrowth, abnormal overgrowth of cells. So then there's another study that I love that took a group of women that were having biopsies, and they studied women at biopsies, and they looked at their cells, and then in the time between biopsy and surgery, they gave them so much. I think it was like 2 to 3 tablespoons of flax seeds, either in a muffin. No, it was a muffin. This is the muffin study. So a muffin with flax seeds, and they did two different groups. One had muffins with flax seeds in it, and one had other things that could a placebo muffin had bran in it or not. So, and then looked at their after they've had surgery at what's removed. So, and compared to biopsy and at surgery, the women that had been given the flaxseed muffins showed lower cell proliferation rate in that tissue. And so there was a decrease in cell proliferation rate, which means overgrowth of cancerous cells. And then actually cancer cell death rates increased. So that's just in the five weeks between biopsy to surgery. So that was, I love that one. So not to leave the guys out here, but prostate cancer is another one. So prostate cancer rates, really around the world really vary very widely. So African Americans have about a 30 times greater incidence of prostate cancer than Japanese men, and actually 120 times greater than Chinese men. The difference has often been attributed to the amount of soy that is common in many Asian diets. You've heard me talk about the wonders of soy. So soy contains phytoestrogens, not the same ones as ligands. There are several different classes of phytoestrogens. Those phytoestrogens are called isoflavones. As we know, the other major class of phytoestrogens is the ligands. So higher level of ligands have been found to be in the prostate levels of fluids of men with low rates of prostate cancer. So, and also have been shown in a petri dish to slow the growth of prostate cancer cells. So it works helps against breast cancer as well as prostate cancer. Similar also for men. So for benign prostate hypertrophy, or BPH, and enlarged prostate, which people take Proscar and Flomax, you might have heard on the commercials for. So, but research has really shown that men, if you're giving the equivalent of 3 tablespoons per day of flaxseed, had relief comparable to the most commonly prescribed drugs, such as Proscar and Flomax. So that's really remarkable. Really, I say, you think of food as medicine. So just as we put food in pills in our body, and we expect them to do something, food is the first medicine that there was. Other things that it's good for, high blood pressure. So, and this has to do with a lot of the omega-3s. Ground flax seeds, just alone, have, through several studies, have induced one of the most potent blood pressure lowering effects ever achieved by a dietary intervention. So eating a few tablespoons per day appears to be 2 to 3 times more effective than adopting an endurance exercise program. So I'm not telling you not to exercise, but that's really amazing. And the noted drop in systolic blood pressure, which is the top number, and diastolic, which is the bottom, were actually 2 to 3 times more than common blood pressure medications that we take. ACE inhibitors like lisinopril, or calcium channel blockers like Norvasc or amlodipine. So just eat flax seeds instead, right? And then you don't have to worry about all the horrible side effects of those medications. And, just for a bonus, they've also been shown to help control cholesterol, and that has to do with omega-3s. When people say they take omega-3s, they say they think they're taking fish oils, but there are omega-3s in the plant kingdom. We'll talk about the nuts and seeds. This is a seed, right? So it's in that. So help control cholesterol, triglycerides, and even blood sugar levels, as well as reducing just overall inflammation. They're really just, there's one study that called it, flax seeds, the miracle drug. So how do you use them? So you can buy them either whole. If you do buy them whole, you should grind them up. I use a coffee grinder to grind them up. They should last about 4 weeks 4 months at room temperature. But once I grind them, I put them in the fridge myself, or you can buy them ground. I buy them in a large amount, and I keep them in the fridge. But you can buy them in bulk at natural food stores. But you have to eat them ground to release the nutrients. Otherwise, they will just come out not absorbed. So ways to use them are sprinkle on oatmeals, salads, soups. They're great. I use them a lot in baked goods. They make a substitute for eggs. So when you take 1 tablespoon of ground flax and 3 tablespoons of water, you mix it together and you let it sit for about 5 minutes, and it turns into kind of this gelatinous material, which is the binder, which is essentially all the egg does, is it the binder. So it's a it's a binder for your baked good, but you get all that good healthy stuff in there. Great in smoothies, it'll help thicken that. It's good for a thickener for sauces. You know, if you're making like a stir fry and you want to thicken it up instead of cornstarch. Great source of omega-3 fatty acids, which we could go on and on and on about that, but it's really good for your heart, it's good for your brain, for your cholesterol. Flax crackers, you can get commercially produced flax crackers, or you can make your own, which I will give a recipe for flax crackers when we do the challenge next week. Bars are also good. You really just want to make sure that if you buy things in the store, you watch out for added sugars and oils and stuff like that. Or dip crackers in hummus. You know I love my hummus. Or bean dip. So then you get a double check mark, right? You get the beans and the flax seeds. So that is flax seeds for today. Let me know if you have any questions. Feel free to drop questions in the comments, or just comments in the comments, or drop any recipes. If you have a good flax muffin recipe, I would love to share. I love muffins. So that's it for today. If you have any questions, like I said, just drop it in the comments. If not, I will see you tomorrow for nuts and seeds, I believe. Okay.